Okay, guys. So we're going to be doing foil placement, like I said, but we're going to use cholesterol instead. And I'm going to show you like a technique that you can use with any kind of highlights. You can use this technique with baby lights, balayage, teasy lights, or regular traditional foil placement. And I'm just going to do it on the hairline just for the sake of time. And then if you guys have any more questions, we can talk about it. So, usually around the hairline, what I've learned, because I was taught and then I kind of saw how it looks, when you go vertical, it makes it for like a hard line, like on the hairline. But when you go diagonal, it makes it soft. So when someone pushes their hair back, it kind of makes it feel more soft and more natural looking. Usually, depending on the hairline of somebody, I'll always like take the comb and I'll like gently comb forward, and like whatever those little like short pieces are on the side, I usually don't put like any color, well, not color, but I usually don't put any lightener on there when I'm doing highlights, because usually when people have breakage around the hairline, when you put lightener on that, that's going to be the first to break off. But also, the great saving grace about that is usually when you comb out those little parts, say for instance, you think you may have went a little too harsh around the hairline, when you comb those little short pieces back, it kind of softens that a little bit. So, you ready to see this? There's a track in here, so we're going to do the best we can. Has anybody ever done highlights before, like on themselves or on other people? So usually around the hairline, I'll take like a diagonal parting. So like say she has like perfect hair, like no breakage or anything, or if I'm doing like a baby light or maybe even a teasy light, I could go right in and just use a diagonal parting. And one thing I noticed about highlights is the closer you are to the scalp, the closer the weaving is together. The further out you are, the further out the weaving is. So if I want them like super close, like say this was a traditional foil and I want them super close, I would go closer to the scalp and then just weave. If I wanted them kind of far out, I would kind of just do the little middle part. And I don't know why that is, but just naturally it does that. So we're just going to act like we want to do a little regular foil. I usually use the non-shiny side. It really don't matter, just as long as it's tight and snug to the scalp so that it doesn't slip out. Because that's how you get bleeding, is when the foils loosen up. Because like bleach swells. So once it slips, it starts to bleed and you get those little polka dots on your scalp. So I usually make sure that I hold this hair pretty tight. If this hair ever gets in my way, which sometimes it does, I'll take a duckbill clip and I'll just clip that down so it comes out of the way. So I'll just pull this back and then make sure that my hand is holding the foil as well. With tint brushes, they come in a bunch of different ways. I don't know if you guys have ever bought any, but they usually come like slanted like this. They could come bigger than this, or they can come smaller than this. Or they can come where all of them are all the same, and they can come smaller than this, shorter than this, or thinner than this. But the ones that I like to use, I don't know if you guys have seen the Framar brushes that are like super, super soft, like they almost feel like hair. They're not so straight down. They're more like jagged, so that if you do get close, you kind of get that feathered look. So when I apply lightener, I try not to get a whole bunch on the brush just to keep it neat. And usually I don't use a brush this big, but I start like a little ways. I'll say maybe like an inch or so away from the scalp first. And then I kind of feather up. Because like I said, bleach swells. So if you get too close and you put too much product on there, it is going to bleed. And if you're doing like anything like baby lights where it matters about the detail, you don't want to pile that up with lightener, because when it swells, it'll rise also. So when I get a little bit closer, like I'll take whatever is left and then I'll just kind of dance it up there like a little shimmy. When people are applying lightener, they want to jump, like just throw it on there, and then they don't check the pieces, and then that's how when you rinse it out, you thought you covered everything, but then you'll start to see like you got little spots or like little stripes. Nobody wants to look like a cheetah or a zebra. So you want to make sure when you're picking out sections, you want to make sure that you can be able to read a newspaper through it. It might take you a little bit longer to foil someone's hair, but one thing you don't want to do is have to recolor someone's hair for free, or have to redo the whole process while they're sitting there, because time is money. So one thing I learned in a Red King class that I don't know why I didn't know this before. I used to just fold my foils up like this, and sometimes I would get a lot of slipping. But then one of the instructors had folded it twice, like this. I don't know, y'all probably already do this, but I was real late to the game. And then she folds it like twice. And I'm like, bro, that's so easy, and it doesn't move at all. Because when I would do like TZ lights or something, I'm like, why is my foil always like slipping? I'm like, is it because I don't have a lot of hair in there? And once I seen her do it that way, it's not gonna move. And I always used to think like, well, if I fold it that many times, is it gonna give me like a band across? So for my mind, I don't even do a hard press in the middle right there. I just lightly fold it over, and then just crease the sides just so that it doesn't move. But that was a trick that I learned, and I was like, what do you know? I was so happy. So sometimes with highlights, when you're doing like weaving, the difference between if the highlight is going to be heavy or if it's going to be kind of subtle is like how many weaves and slices you put in there. So weaving gives you a subtle look. Slicing gives you more of a bold look. But if you mix the two together, it'll give you like a really bold look, but still some like dimension in there. Sometimes some people don't like slicing with baby lights. It looks beautiful because it's like so thin. But if you're too scared to do that, you can do like a TZ light. So one thing I learned before is with a TZ light, you know how some people just be like, don't do that. Because you want to be able to comb it out after. You don't want to be sitting there using most of your time combing out the hair. So I learned that if they want like subtle or a lot of dimension in the hair, you can start from either the mid shaft or from the ends and then just scoot up, because you're taking so much hair. Or if you want it to not be too much dimension, don't embarrass me. Okay. You can kind of start up here further, because that way it's not too much hair being pulled up to the top when you tease it. You get what I'm saying? Okay. I always use hair charts. Like I'll go on Pinterest and like kind of see like where the placement is, so that in my head I'm already knowing like what to do. Like when I used to work at my last place, I used to try to finesse, how can I get the most out of 10 foils? Because 10 foils is an accent foil. And I'm like, so if someone pays me for this, how can I get the most out of it? Pinterest got everything. So I would go on there and I would see like, how are people placing 10 foils but to get the most look out of it? And that way when I would go in with the client, I already knew how I was going to part it, because I'm like, okay, I know what they want to see, I know what they want to do, and it never miss. So if you're not sure if you're holding it correctly to get like that V in it, always take the hair and you can either pull it back and start applying the color, because when you pull it forward it's going to be on a slant, or you can pull it this way and apply it. So if you pull it this back towards you, the highest line is going to be towards her face. If you pull it this way, the highest line is going to be towards you. It doesn't matter which way you pull it. It's just you have to think about where you want the light, where you want the attention to go to, because our eyes naturally go towards what's lightest. So it just depends on the look. But if you stay on a diagonal parting, that's going to help you as well. But just pulling it back or pulling it forward is going to help you to add even more dimension, even more light. And plus, the technique used for this, you can use this on straight, wavy, or curly hair, and it grows out beautifully. That's why a lot of people are starting to really get into like drop roots or balayage or baby lights, because they can get away with it a lot longer than like traditional highlights, where it's like you got that harsh grow out line. And a lot of people don't like that. They want to be able to live in their color a little bit longer. So yeah. Hey guys, I hope that you enjoyed that vlog. That was me teaching. I do try to get as much of me teaching as possible when the opportunity presents itself, and that time was perfect. I also was able to share with them some new knowledge that I had learned from a recent class that I had taken, that I had showed you guys, was it last week or the week before last? But behind me, I'm going to show you guys what this is all about in the next vlog. It probably appears backwards because it looks backwards on the screen. But anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed that video. I cannot wait to see you guys in the upcoming video. Please let me know how you guys are doing and what's new in your life. I love to connect with you guys. So see you soon.